Where does he rank among the most important players on Tennessee's roster given his health? Jermod McCoy, ACL injury, 13th on Pro Football Focus in terms of top 50 players. But I could make a strong argument that his impact will not even be top 10 in terms on this team. A, because he might still be injured in September, right?
Correct.
Could still be banged up. B, what is Pro Football Focus going to go off of? Do you think they're going to spring practice and watch
No,
him hurt?
no, they're going off the numbers straight up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ben, I did go to Pal. I got my PhD, Pal High Diploma after 3 years of PMS, Pal Middle School. So, but I'll take it when you look at Jermod McCoy. I'm not saying he's going to do this. I don't know the young man, but I'm just going to tell you, if I'm him in this money era, I'm at least concerned about my health. And if it's 50-50, I ain't going out there.
No, I wouldn't go out there either. Now, my question to you, and you talk about his importance or lack thereof, we had Philip Fulmer on the show last fall, and I realized his philosophy because I asked him about Jermod McCoy, and he went straight up to, it's easy to play cornerback when you get the type of pressure Tennessee's getting. Do you subscribe to the Philip Fulmer philosophy that a cornerback is basically made only as good as the pressure that the defensive line can get, or are there cornerbacks that can just lock down an island no matter what?
I think there are very few of those latter ones, which is why they get paid so much, like the Reeves Sanders of the world. But I'll say this. People like to say that what's the toughest thing to do in sports? Hit a baseball, right?
Right.
It's close to covering a big-time receiver for 3.5 seconds. That is not far from the most difficult thing to do in all of sport. That ain't easy.
No, it's not. I totally agree. And so at that point, we kind of land where I have to be on your side because I think a lot of Jermod McCoy's success, one, hinges on him being healthy, but the other part kind of hinges on how good Tennessee is at getting pressure, isn't it? Because we don't believe Jermod McCoy as good as we think he is. I don't think he's Darrelle Revis or Deion Sanders. Do you? I mean,
yeah. So. Oh no. Let's put it this way. I guess this would best answer your question. If I could have a dominant defensive line or a dominant secondary, I'll take a dominant defensive line every time.
Yeah, because the dominant defensive line doesn't even need the secondary can be average at that point, honestly. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just say it. So I'm kind of with you on that, and particularly with the way this defense runs and this defense operates. Give me the defensive line.
I will say this: good to see everyone. Derek says, and it is good to see everyone. That was a long week. You know, you like your job when you miss it. So Caleb had a great video on Tennessee's big-time recruiting haul last week, which I think was very significant. I'll have something in the column via that form as well. But I want to ask you about some other players. Hot or Cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Integrity matters, no question about it. Anywhere in the Knoxville area, you'll be taken care of. Which of these players should be on the list, and which of these players will eventually be on the list?
Where do you stand? Hot or cold? Brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Integrity matters. 50 years in East Tennessee. Cityheatandair.com. On Off the Hook Sports.
I'm afraid Caleb's going to get mad at me because he came up with this great topic. And I'm in a way, I'm going to kind of dump on it a little bit. Sorry. Players that should be on this Pro Football Focus top 50 list.
Or could be.
Will be. Could be or should be?
I was going to say could be, but I'll follow. Since you're changing it up on me, I'll follow your lead.
Okay. So let's say, well, I'll just go ahead and tell you, I don't think any of these guys that we're going to mention should be on the list. The one exception I would make would be Arian Carter at linebacker, because I think he's had to do so much filling for Keenan Pili, who's been hurt for 2 straight years and is now gone. So I think that really hampered his play. He would be on this list, I believe, had he played next to a healthy middle linebacker. I will say that. You agree, disagree?
Oh, I agree. I think he would have. I mean, last year we saw an almost perfect product in his first year starting for Tennessee in Arian Carter. The only issues we saw were he every now and then bid on a fake or a misdirection pass play. That's about all we saw with mistakes with him, right? Like the Arkansas game where he misplayed one.
Yeah, and that's kind of common with elite athletes. I think he is, because you think you can gamble and get away with some stuff. More so probably defensive backs. You hear about Deion Sanders baiting people. I don't know that he was baiting anybody, but you're right. That's fair. But I think he would be on this list had he not had to play next to a fill-in middle linebacker, which he then had to handle all the calls. You can't tell me there's not paralysis by analysis.
Oh, I agree.
When you're having to make that call, there's just no way.
I totally agree, which is why I'm hot on him on the fact that I think he will be on this list this year. And by the way, this is PFF. For those who don't know, I didn't put this out up front. Jermod McCoy was number 13 on PFF's list of top 50 players in college football this year. So I think I'm hot. By the end of the year, Arian Carter will be on this list.
Remember this now. I do want to say this. That does not mean he's the 13th best player in the nation, because James Pierce was number 1 last year. They are going to account for 3 positions specifically and put more weight on them: quarterback, cornerback, and edge rusher, right?
Yes, and there's a specific reason for that. And we talked with Cooper Mays about this. Those are particularly the latter 2, cornerback and edge rusher. You're not really dependent on what anybody else does. All you have to do, PFF determines who wins their one-on-one matchups. That's pretty much, cornerback is just a game of a one-on-one matchup when you play man-to-man, right? It has nothing to do with what anybody else does. And that's why, like, PFF, I don't know how you feel. I don't even pay attention to PFF grades for offensive linemen, because there's so many schematic things. Everything's done as a unit for the offensive line on the interior that I kind of throw it out the window.
Derek post nice enough to post dare to compare city heating and air conditioning will never leave my brain. Thank you. I like to hear that. Support our sponsors. That's why we're here. All right, Mike Matthews, will he eventually be a top 50 player?
Yes. No, this is projection on my end, but yes, I think even with Joey Aguilar, I think Mike Matthews is going to win every one-on-one battle he has with a cornerback this year. I don't think there's a cornerback in college football that can cover Mike Matthews.
Wow, that's a strong statement. At receiver, I'm going to say no, but of the remaining players we have on this list, only 1 ranks above him. So Caleb says that Mike Matthews will be on the PFF top 50 players eventually. And do you mean this year or next year?
This year, 2025.
That's odd. All right.
Yeah.
Peyton Lewis. It's hard for me to judge. I've watched his tape. I've stood next to him. He looks like he's built like Jamal Lewis. Will he be that great? I don't know. I mean, and a running back doesn't carry as much weight in the Pro Football Focus as other positions. So I'm going to say no. I don't think Peyton Lewis ever gets into the top 50.
Yeah, I don't think so this year either. I think that, just for those who are curious, Dylan Sampson, with the historic record-breaking greatest season in history for Tennessee football running back last year, he was a top 101. He was one of 3 Vols on the top 101 PFF players, but he was the lowest of the 3 Vols. He was behind Jermod McCoy and James Pierce. So I'm with you. I don't think Peyton Lewis will get on it this year. I also think that, look, Tennessee's replacing all 3 interior linemen. Now, we think they'll be okay, but Dave, I am 100% sure they're not going to be better than last year's interior line. So there's going to be a drop off there.
May put a little bit of words in my mouth. I don't think they're going to be okay. I think Satterwhite's going to be good, and they could struggle at the guards.
Okay. You're even that. Yeah. So basically, there's a 100% chance that they will be worse than last year at the interior of the offensive line. Peyton Lewis isn't going to put up Dylan Sampson numbers, so he's not going to be top 50.
No, I don't think so either. The player that I do think, and I'm going to agree with Caleb, the player that I do think will be in the top 50 as it's hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Jordan Ross will be on this list before it's said and done.
Yeah, totally agree. People are all high on Joshua Josephs replacing Jordan Ross. Joshua Josephs is a complimentary edge rusher. He cannot do it on his own. Jordan Ross is a superstar in the making. I think he's going to play his way into a first-round draft pick this year.
All right. Now, the next one, here you go. You got your Boo jersey on. You're excited. His favorite holiday is Halloween because he gets to say Boo a lot. Boo Carter, I think, splits time between being a nickel back and being a slot receiver and cost himself an opportunity to be up high on this list. I don't see it happening, Caleb.
Well, Travis Hunter was number 1 last year on PFF ratings with a 90.
Oh, we're talking about a once-in-a-generation type of player.
With a 90.3 coverage grade. Boo Carter, I mean, you named 2 things I love. Boo Carter, and you said the word Nickelback. I just love Nickelback so much. I can't I want to hear you say Nickelback on repeat for the rest of my life because I love them so much, Dave. I'm such a Nickelback fan. But Boo Carter, I think, could be on this list by playing nickel, funny enough, because I do think by playing nickel, he's going to have some easier coverage assignments. Now, maybe that's going to work against him with PFF grades, but when you consider that, I think there's a very good chance he's on this list. But the other problem is by playing nickel, he's not going to get enough one-on-one matchups. So I'm coming around to you're right. He's not going to get enough catches on offense, and he's not going to get enough one-on-one matchups on defense to stand out. So I'm coming around to he won't make the list, but I put him on there as possibility.
Now, just like Charles Woodson or Travis Hunter last year, the media could get behind him, and then suddenly it's like a tidal wave of momentum. And then he's won the thing in September, it seems like, because it felt like that was Travis Hunter and Charles Woodson. They just tried to hand it to him as best they could. All right, other players who could potentially be in the top 50. Anybody else out there? We'll take suggestions from the message board if you would like. Portions of the program brought to you by Brainerd Golf Course and Brown Acres Golf Course. Golf Chattanooga's best public courses. Tee times are available. You can click right down below. Check them out. Caleb, anybody else?
Yes, and I put him on here, and I want to know your thoughts. And Derek pointed this out, and he's right. The one offensive line position
that's hurt. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the one offensive line position that is a one-on-one matchup is left tackle, and Lance Hurd is going to be playing left tackle this year. Could he get on there, Dave? I mean, he's got the talent, and he's going to be. It is just going to be one-on-one with him on the edge every game, isn't it? He doesn't really have to focus on what the rest of the line does.
That was a good call by you and Derek. I just completely looked over him. You had that in your notes. Okay, let me play devil's advocate again. What if they move him to right tackle, as they've done with so many of their most talented tackles?
Oh, they're not. They're not, because Lance Hurd is the whole reason he transferred to Tennessee was because Brian Kelly was going to move him over to right tackle because he wasn't as good as the left tackle at LSU, and he wanted to stay at left tackle. So they're going to have David Sanders play right tackle and Lance Hurd play left tackle.
Okay, does Pro Football Focus do like the All-Americans with kick returns and punt returns? Because Vols Win had a good point. Boo makes the list as a returner. Did they do that?
Nobody was on there as a returner last year. I will say that. Looking at the top, at least in the top 50, nobody was in the top 50 as a returner. Now, maybe their All-American team has returners, but that's not. Remember, part of their value is based on the number of plays you accumulate. And as you and I have talked about, I don't care how many times you field a punt or a kickoff, you only do. It's never enough to accumulate a lot of reps. Quite honestly.
Hey, Derek, help me out. McCoy was where on Athlon? I'd be interested to know that, because I will give Athlon some credit. I believe that they look forward. They make phone calls as far as how's this guy's injury coming along. Whereas Pro Football Focus, they are what they are, and that's just to grade people from last year. So see if you can help me out on that, Derek. I would greatly appreciate it.